A woman walks into a store and asks a simple question. What's good here? What's special? What should I buy? And every merchant's ears should perk up immediately. Now, an aggressive salesperson might say, oh, goody, I've got a live one here. I can make this person spend, spend, spend. And an inexperienced or underconfident salesperson, perhaps not listening to the previous customers, might say, gosh, I don't know. Everything's good. I don't know what to tell you. But for me, this is a seminal moment, ripe with possibility. This is the beginning, potentially, of a relationship building between a customer and a business. Now, most of us have taken some form of economics. We know about supply and demand. We know about profit. We know that a business's job is to seek profit, to maximize profit, to buy low, sell high, buy what the people want, sell it at a higher price. If the people want widgets, you sell widgets. There's no moral quandary. And this led, at its extreme, to the idea that maybe, just maybe in the 80s, greed was good. But that evolution didn't last long because people started to question almost immediately, how can greed be good? Isn't there something bigger than just pursuing your bottom line? Isn't there something bigger than just pursuing profit? And a group of people began to explore the environmental consequences and the social consequences of greed being good. One of those fellows, named John Elkington, coined a phrase that brought us beyond the bottom line to the triple bottom line. Every business has to pursue profits, profit or nonprofit in its orientation. It must. It must have costs that are lower than its revenues. That's not an issue. What's the issue is, in that pursuit of profits, is a business pursuing social and environmental policies that are positive, or are they selfish? That is, in the quest for the bottom line, is it pursuing a bottom line environmentally, consuming more or conserving more of the resources? And socially, is this business's products or practices tearing at the social fabric or bringing us closer together? This concept became an accountant's tool to monetize the three bottom lines. So accountants are working around the clock attempting to put these factors into dollar amounts and put them into numbers. In 30 states and in a number of countries, including Canada, Italy, the Netherlands, this has been embodied in something known as the B Corp, or the benefit corporation. You can receive certification or articles of incorporation that certify you as a socially beneficial corporation. What these B Corps have done is embody the triple bottom line directly into their corporate bylaws, directly into their CEOs' job descriptions, their board purviews, their investment portfolios. They must annually report on their progress within the triple bottom line. Now, even if we're not accountants, economists, attempting to monetize, attempting to incorporate under those guidelines, we've been given a set of concepts that are very powerful, very potent, because what these concepts have given us is a new set of guidelines to either start a business, analyze a business, or market a business that is truly pursuing the triple bottom line. I have had the good fortune for the last 8 years of being a leader within one of the organizations that embodied these concepts. Mohawk Harvest Cooperative Market is a small grocery store founded on one basic question. A small group of people, a think tank of sorts, sat around a table and asked, what can we do to make our community more livable? And they latched onto the idea of a grocery store, a community-owned grocery store. And there was all kinds of optimism, all kinds of plans were thrown out. I got involved in this, and I saw a huge swelling of good thought from good people. And I looked around the room and said, I think we're all crazy. In fact, I know we're all crazy. How in the world is a community-owned grocery store placed in a downtown where more shops are closed than open, in a period of the Great Recession, the greatest downturn since the Great Depression, going to thrive or even survive? Where residents still talk about elbow to elbow on a Saturday night, not finding room on the sidewalk, walking in the street, where they would see everybody they knew 50, 60 years ago, where they could go down to one of half a dozen department stores, they could buy men's shoes next to men's suits, women's purses, and of course, gloves. They could see everybody they knew, and they knew the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker by name. How are we going to do this? Well, we wrote a business plan anyways. And we shopped the business plan around. We shopped it to the local Economic Development Council, the lender of last resort, and they asked a very pertinent question. What's your collateral? And they looked at us and said, when you go out of business, if you go out of business perhaps, but I heard when, what will we foreclose upon? We can't foreclose on sweet corn, raspberries, carrots, peaches, fresh produce isn't collateral. They were right. They couldn't take this stuff, as delicious as it was. So we took it to the general public and asked their response. And we had a number of people jump on the bandwagon. And we heard the naysayers loud and clear. I don't know, good people said. Friends of mine said, I've seen a half dozen stores go out in the exact location you're choosing. I think we might wait 6 months to see if you make it. We'll let you know when 6 months are up. How's that sound? Now, I've had the opportunity to go back and look at our business plan. I looked at our business plan and I was shocked. We had taken this business plan to one person who was the president of the Chamber of Commerce, Wally Hart's his name, and he looked at me and said, it might work. Might work? I'm not hearing you? Yeah, it might work if you get the good faith of the community. Now, I've taught economics, so I immediately said, good faith does not feed the bulldog. Good faith does not capitalize equipment, does not put inventory on the shelves, doesn't make payroll. It doesn't pay the electrical bill. And he cocked his head and said, you just might be surprised. And when I went and looked back at the business plan, I was shocked by our audacity. In a 4,000-word document, we had used the word local and community 76 times. That's number one after the words of, the, and. And the word profit came in 112th. And what's even more amazing is that we were embracing the triple bottom line. That social component was at the heart of our business plan. We were engaging human capital above monetary capital. 6 months after we opened, a story was written about us, and they fed back to us our own audacity. The Regional Farm and Food Project had written a story in which they said that this group was on a radical mission. We were out to revitalize the downtown, to catalyze community revival, this social enterprise. And we hardly even knew each other. But we were engaging social networks well before Kickstart and Facebook could have done it for us. We were embracing human capital. And we didn't know much. We really didn't know much about business. But as the saying goes, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we cared. We cared every day, not in a transactional way, but in an operational way. We cared by the way we swept the sidewalk and shoveled it in the winter. We cared by the way we treated customers. We cared by the way we bought and sold objects to make a profit. Our brand was local. People were our focus. And the stakeholders and shareholders were the community. So how do we measure a success? Well, we stayed open against all doubts. We even surprised ourselves. We surprised ourselves when the first year we made a profit, $85. That's one heck of a return on investment, you think? 50 cents per shareholder. We grew, and the Chamber of Commerce noticed and awarded us the Small Business of the Year Award for 2010. This also happens to be a seminal night, January 22nd. I'll mention more of that later. We grew, and we gained revenue. We grew, and we brought people downtown, and it was noticed. We grew, and we had to move. We had outgrown our small footprint. And when we moved, we knew we were taking on greater risk, but we were taking on greater risk that had the greatest potential reward for ourselves, but for the community. On that night, the location we wanted, a pipe had broken on the 3rd floor, water had flooded down, frozen in an ice skating rink, I like to say, and that's the site we picked. It was a keystone property with 2 crosswalks bringing people to us, a jewelry store, 2 banks. And we dug up the 2 layers of subfloor, 2 layers of indoor-outdoor carpeting, shaved the sticky floor padding up, and we found the hardwood floor that symbolizes for me an era gone by when craftsmen put their heart and soul into their work, and merchants and customers truly knew each other by name. But more than that, we were proving a concept. It's generally accepted that you make a profit and you reinvest it in the community. That you make your first million and you plow some back in. We were taking the approach that you invest in the community and find profits there. We bought into the community and the community bought back. And I'm not saying it's easy. In fact, it's a very challenging business model. But it takes vision and competence and patience. Vision to know what can be done. Vision to see the possible. Competence to make things happen, to plan and work to make your vision come true. And patience to build relationships. Relationships based on trust, based on interpersonal communication, based on mutually shared interests. But we were also learning what social scientists have been telling us, and that is that loose bonds can be activated like strong bonds when given a greater mission, a greater purpose. That if you don't think a little money can't buy you happiness, you're wrong. Marginal happiness increases, not with wealth accumulation past a certain point, approximately $75,000, they think. Marginal happiness increases with spending on other individuals. That even strangers with a few dollars spent can be really profitable. And the beauty of our model is that it doesn't take $1 million to start. It's a low capital, high human capital investment. And we were making the goals and dreams and missions of others our goals and dreams and missions. We were giving the idea that winning was not a sometime thing, it was an all-the-time thing. And that $1 spent on the community, because community was winning, was $1 spent in the co-op correctly. And our shareholders asking for a return on investment of $150 a share have allowed us with 90,000 transactions to purchase locally and regionally on a wholesale level over $1.4 million worth of goods. That translates into a $9 million economic impact. Oh, and that story from the start, that woman that I mentioned who came in, she became a long-term relationship. She was a repeat customer. She spoke far and wide of the values of our shop and the quality of our wares, and we plan to be married within the year. Business based on relationship can be truly profitable. Thank you.